Hello everyone, I'm Scott and welcome to the glorious Indian Ocean and the Maldives, where this week I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my top tips that you can use when you go on your next big layover adventure. Welcome to my layover. So my first top tip, and this one might seem absolutely ridiculous, is actually bring a rucksack. I've got my rucksack here. I always bring my rucksack with me to help me take stuff to the beach. I hate when I forget it. What have I got in my rucksack? Well, today I've got my bottle. I hate single-use plastic bottles, so I always bring a steel bottle. I've also got in here my GoPro for taking underwater photos, and I've got the camera that I'm using here. Also in there, sunglasses, hat, all those kind of things. But what is really important that I also carry with me for the airplane is I carry a very, very small pouch for the airplane, something like this. And what I do with this pouch is, when I get on board, I take the pouch out and I put the pouch beside me. Now inside here, I've got medication, money, my phone, my passport, and a couple of other little bits and pieces, so that should the unlikely event of an emergency happen on the aircraft, I'm not tempted to go for my rucksack, which will be up in the overhead locker. I'll just grab this and run out and I'll be safe. So that's my first top tips, is a rucksack and a small bag with all your essentials in for on the aircraft. My next top tip is about travel money and using your money abroad. Many people still carry cash, and I wouldn't advise carrying too much cash, and something like a money belt is definitely a big no-no. What we do as pilots, well, most pilots will have something called a Revolut card. This is a prepaid Visa card provided by Revolut. These cards are really easy to use. They have an app, allows you to top up via the app how much you want each day. So if you're on a budget, you can set yourself a budget, but what it also does is protects you from fraud. So if the card is used fraudulently whilst you're out, all you're going to lose is the budget for that day and not any more than that. So I really like the card. There are no bank fees, and you get a great transaction fee as well when you convert to currencies. Revolut's available in the UK, but I'm sure there are numerous ones of these all over the world that you can use. So my advice is, cut down on the real money, get yourself a prepaid debit card. Travel tip number 3 is all about paperwork. Now, COVID has changed the way we travel, and for some time to come there will be a requirement for extra paperwork, particularly if you want to come somewhere like this, like the Maldives. But please, before you go, check that you have the right paperwork. When we were at the airport leaving for this trip, in fact, we saw a couple of people getting turned away because they had physical paperwork instead of an app, and they couldn't get the app to work. So it's well worth trying and checking before you go to ensure that you've got all the paperwork. Also, if it does say you require an app, we would advise that you also take physical copies of those certificates as well, because you never know, the NHS app or similar apps may not be working, they may have crashed, and you may not be able to access that paperwork, and it'd be a shame if you couldn't go on your holiday because of that. Now, Maldives is an unusual place in that it does require additional vaccinations, not just a COVID vaccination before you travel here. It requires yellow fever. Now, there are a number of countries that do require yellow fever and other vaccinations for entry. So it's well worth thinking about other vaccinations and not just focusing on COVID. So my top tip number 3 is check the vaccinations and make sure you've got the right paperwork. So if you're a bit of a Boy Scout like me and find yourself marooned on a beautiful island in the Indian Ocean, then I would always take with me my little first aid kit. Now, you'll be having a look at my little first aid kit in a second, but why do I take a first aid kit? Well, I'm a buffoon, and I always either cut something, break something, or actually just need some paracetamol to get rid of those more self-induced headaches. But it's really worth having a really small first aid kit that you can carry with you, and that does include a torch. And people say, well, why do you take a torch? Well, if you go to somewhere like this island is self-sufficient for its power, and if that power goes, there is nothing, so you'll be stuck in the darkness. So actually having a little torch in your room and a first aid kit is no bad thing. Makes me a Boy Scout, but hey, I don't care. So my fifth and final top travel tip is travel insurance. Couldn't be more important actually. Travel insurance is really important, even if you are traveling to countries in the EU, for example, that have reciprocal arrangements with the UK, like EHIC, and I'm sure other countries have the same reciprocal agreements. Those normally only cover emergency care and don't cover aftercare or anything like that. So travel insurance is really, really important for you to have wherever you go. Sadly, I've in the past been traveling with children where we've had to use our travel insurance, and had we not had that insurance in place, we'd have faced tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of bills. So actually going to places like the post office or other places where travel insurance is really inexpensive will actually pay dividends in the end. So my final top tip is get some travel insurance. You'll never regret it. Well, that's my top 5 travel tips from a very windy Maldivian island. I hope there's something in there that you can use on your next adventure. If you want to know about any of the stuff that I've talked about, there are some links in the descriptions below. We aren't sponsored for any of our videos, but if you do click on our links and you do buy something, then we may get a referral fee. If you liked our video, then please subscribe to the channel. There's lots more in it for you as we do our layovers all over the world and we try and give you some of our top tips. Remember, if you have your own top tips, we'd love to hear from you, so stick them in the comments below and we'll reply, and maybe even on our next video it'll be your top tips that we're using. As we finish here on the Maldives, I thought I would leave you with one travel tip for free, and I'm going to use the words of the great Baz Luhrmann here. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proven by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more relatable than my own meandering experience. And for those of you who are really young, Google Baz Luhrmann and that'll make sense to you. Until next time, goodbye from the Maldives.